Munich is a lively cosmopolitan city, but it has a difficult and complex past. It was the capital of the National Socialist movement and where Hitler rose to power. Considering the role it played during World War II and how Germany deals with its past, I find it interesting to see how Munich uses memorials as a means of addressing this past. It was when I lived here for a year that I became interested in the city's memorial culture and found that memorials here tended not to be obvious, often ambiguous, above eye level, and just a bit confusing. Take this memorial, for example. To passers-by, this is just a back street with a bronze path down the middle. The reason why these bronze stones are laid out in this way and are here isn't clear or noted anyway. But this back alleyway played an important role in National Socialist Munich. Just up from here was a memorial plaque which was erected in 1923 and commemorated the victims of the failed attempt to take over the city by Hitler and his party, known as the Beerhulputsch. The plaque was guarded 24/7 by soldiers, and passers-by were required to give the Hitler salute. To avoid doing this, people would take this street, the Viscardigasse, and if they were caught, they were arrested. This unexplained bronze path commemorates those who took this alleyway in order to avoid doing the salute, and is actually a memorial which commemorates the price they paid for this. But this story and the reason why these bronze cobbles are here isn't explained anywhere, so in my opinion the whole point of a memorial, to make people remember, is lost because it is not clear why the path is here. Another floor memorial, which I think is awkwardly placed, are these bronze flyers outside the Ludwigs-Maximilians-Universität, the main university in Munich. They mirror the flyers dropped by the White Rose resistance group during World War II. The White Rose Group was a group of students who bravely produced and distributed flyers against Hitler and his regime. They were, however, unfortunately caught and sentenced to death for these actions. Although this memorial is in an aptly named place, Geschwister-Scholl-Platz, which is dedicated to the two key members of the group, Hans and Sophie Scholl, the bronze flyers are at the entrance of a building, not a prime location to stop, read and remember or contemplate. What they hopefully do, however, is jogs people's memory when they stumble upon them, which is why the story of the memorial art project Stumbling Blocks is very interesting with regards to Munich and its memorial culture. Known as Stolpersteine, these small bronze blocks commemorate individuals persecuted and killed in World War II. Family or friends of victims commission them, and the whole idea is to stumble upon them, and in doing so make people remember in everyday life. A bit like the previous memorial. Stumbling blocks have, however, been banned in Munich by the former head of the Jewish community and the mayor of Bavaria, on the grounds that they could be graffitied by neo-Nazis and that they don't find it appropriate that victims' names and information are trodden on or dirtied. Thanks to the public group Initiative for Stolpersteine in München, the blocks which were laid down before the ban were brought here to Munich's University of Music and Fine Art. Bringing them to a private building undermined the whole point of stumbling across a block. And to my surprise, these stumbling blocks, which are supposed to jog people's memory, have now been moved from this building. I asked around, but nobody seemed to know where they are now. All that is left is this book for people to leave their thoughts on the stumbling blocks. Considering Munich already has memorials on the floor, I think the banning of this Stolpersteine indicates Munich still has great difficulty in remembering and finding a suitable form of memorial. Named in 1946 by the then mayor, this square was to commemorate all victims of National Socialism. But who is meant by this word, victim? Directly after the war, Germans tended to see themselves as victims of Hitler's regime. Yet as time went on and more was learnt about the scale of crimes and people persecuted, the simple word victim doesn't seem to cut it. In 1965, a temporary clearer memorial for the victims of National Socialism was erected. In 1985, the present memorial for victims of National Socialist violence was introduced. In 1996, yet another plaque differentiating the victims was laid down in this Platz to commemorate Munich's Sinti and Roma and Gypsy community. So the square and who it is commemorating has varied as time goes on, showing an increasing awareness of the city that a clearer definition of the word victim is needed. But as well as the ever-changing naming of the square, its situation doesn't offer a place of peace and quiet to evoke remembrance and contemplation. It's surrounded by cars and traffic, it's noisy, and is easily overlooked by passers-by. Munich has now recognised that this square has a lot of shortcomings and is addressing this situation because that's what's needed for the city now. The monument will be moved into the middle, the grass removed so people feel invited to go up to the memorial and read it. Bushes and trees will be planted to cut off the traffic. Benches will be introduced to further invite people to visit, and most importantly, a clear explanation of which victims are being commemorated will be erected. It is the right time for the city to make the change necessary to clear up who is meant by the word victim and to offer its inhabitants as well as visitors a suitable place of remembrance. Thank you for watching. I'm now off to continue my hunt for the missing stumbling blocks.